Good morning. Did you know that God's grace is sufficient for you? I don't know what you're facing today, what you're going through, what the circumstances are, but I know this, that God can be with you and He'll help you if you'll ask Him. Woke up this morning with a thought on my mind, thinking about sickness and suffering and pain and sorrow and circumstances and life in general, and thinking about the many difficult days that we have to face. And sometimes we get frustrated and don't have much faith to keep going on. But I remembered what Jesus said to His followers in Matthew chapter 11, verse 28. He said, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." He says, "Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for my yoke is easy and the burden is light." I was thinking about that, and then the Lord shifted my mind to the Apostle Paul, saying, "Lord, Lord, Lord, please help me. Take this thorn in the flesh away from me. It is horrible. I don't like it. I don't want to go any further with it. Lord, help me." And Jesus saying, "Come unto me, all you that labor and heavy laden, and I'll give you rest." And I thought, Paul, what are you seeking? Paul, you're seeking relief. You're seeking removal of the thorn. That's not what Jesus promised. What He promised was that, "Come unto me, all you that labor and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Well, how is He going to do that? He explains that to us in that passage in Matthew 11:28 when He says, "Take my yoke upon you." He wants us to yoke up with Him. Now, I grew up in the city, but I had grandparents who were farmers, and I learned early in my life about the yoke. The yoke would be placed around the horses or the mule's neck, and they would be teamed together to pull a wagon. And when they were pulling together, the burden was lighter for each of them because they were sharing the load. Jesus is saying, "Come unto me if you're labored or burdened or heavy laden or burdened, and I'll share the load. I'll help you with it, and I'll give you rest." What that meant was that the horses would not be as labored as quickly or worn out as quickly, and so they could, in essence, the way Daddy explained it, one would pull more while the other kind of took a little break, and then the other would pull while the other one took a little break, and that way they got much more done. Whether that was really true or whether it was the fact that they were pulling together, I'm sure both were true to a certain extent. But what I learned from that was that God was not offering to remove or to relieve us from the suffering or sickness we're going through. Instead, He is saying to us, "I'll give you rest. I'll take it upon myself, and together we'll get through this." And I was so encouraged. Paul came back the second time and said, "Lord, you don't understand. This is more than I can bear. Take this thorn away from me." And the Lord said, "Paul, my grace is sufficient for thee." In other words, I've already provided what you need. You just need to listen now and apply it. And Paul came back a third time, the Bible tells us, and said, "Lord, please remove this thorn from me." And God said, "My grace is sufficient for thee, Paul." See, God has already done for us that which we need, folks. He's made a way whereby we can have His companionship when we're going through difficulties. He's made a way whereby we can have His help, His yoke, His strength, His power to help us through it so we can rest. But He doesn't promise to remove the difficulties from our lives. We've been going through a time here at home of sickness and suffering, and we haven't been able to be on for a few days because of that, and we're sorry for that. We enjoy God allowing us to minister this way, and many of you have told us what a blessing it is to you. And so when we can't be here, we are saddened. But then again, I've been thinking, what was the Lord doing through this time? He was teaching me another lesson. He wasn't going to remove it just so I could begin to minister again. He was going to help me to get through it. And honey, I know you have some of those same thoughts. It was kind of interesting because you've been saving a devotion very similar to what I had this morning.
But mine wasn't just talking about, pardon me, His grace being sufficient. It was talking about us taking the time to get quiet,
Right.
to listen to Him. And it said, there in Matthew 11, where it says, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Mm-hmm. And it goes on to talk about, let me teach you, let me help you through these hustle bustle times that we're going in, and not just when we aren't feeling good, but trying to get us through the stresses of the day. And I liked what the devotional said that I read. It says, where do you go to find enough stillness to rediscover that God is God? Where do you turn when your days and nights start running together? What spot becomes your hideaway so that you get more perspective, and where you are quiet enough that you can take his yoke upon you and learn of him and realize that he is our all in all, and he is what gets us through. And I just thought it was so neat the way my devotional, even though on a different plane from just the
What I was thinking about.
the
Grace
the
being
discouragement
sufficient.
and the times that we go through that are tough. God's grace is sufficient, and he does have exactly what we need when we need it.
Right.
But we have to be willing to be quiet and listen to him and be in his word and see what he has to say. And I thought that was really, really kind of neat how it goes together.
So we want to encourage you today. If you've got difficulties, many people today are suffering with a change of weather. Many are taking the flu. There's lots of colds running around. There's viruses of all kinds. There's sickness, pneumonia, bronchitis. We're hearing a lot about that in our area now. And we know that there's an awful lot of sickness and suffering in the world today. Some because of COVID, but many other things too set us back. But what we need to do is remember that the way we get through these times is to run to Jesus.
That's right.
And let him lighten our load and give us rest. He promises to do that, not to relieve us of our sufferings, but to help us through them. And I've learned over my many years walking with him that he will do exactly what he said. I hope you will too. I hope you'll run to him and let him help you today.
I love that song that says, "'Tis so sweet to trust in Jesus, just to take him at his word, just in simple faith to trust him, 'neath the cleansing, healing word. Jesus, Jesus, how I trust him, how I proved him o'er and o'er. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for grace to trust him more." And we do just need to trust him more.
God bless you. Have a good day and hope to see you here again tomorrow on Morning Encouragement.
Bye-bye.